The atmosphere grew tense as the Millionaire CEO leaned in, a smirk playing on his lips as he regarded the boy in the corner. "Proceed," he said with a sneer. "Repair this classified gadget, and show me what you've got." All eyes were on the quiet kid, and laughter filled the air as they anticipated a stumble. What remained a secret to everyone was that this seemingly ordinary boy harbored a past so concealed, so unimaginable it had the power to rattle the very foundations of the room. And as his fingers made contact with the device, everything and everyone would be irrevocably transformed. A tempest had just been stirred from its slumber. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up and share your location in the comments. Your support enables us to share even more impactful narratives. Let us commence. Right from the start, the atmosphere in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Within the sleek, glass-encased boardroom of Orion Advanced Technologies, men clad in tailored suits murmured softly, their Rolex watches glinting under the harsh illumination of the ceiling panels. At the head of the long table stood Grant Whitaker, a 47-year-old CEO marked by his immense ego, vast wealth, and an insatiable drive to assert his dominance at any expense. Opposite him was a boy named Caleb, just shy of 15, clad in an oversized, faded green hoodie, jeans marked with grease stains, and shoes so old that the soles were coming apart. With his hands buried deep in his pockets and his head bowed, he exuded a sense of defeat. He remained silent, standing there as though adrift, as if the surroundings held no significance for him. Grant faced his team and declared with dramatic emphasis, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have our special guest engineer with us today." Someone mentioned that he possesses an innate brilliance, which led me to consider, why not present him with a true test of his abilities? With a decisive press of a button, the center of the table parted, unveiling a high-security containment vault. From within, a technician emerged, presenting a sleek, otherworldly device adorned with countless copper wires and luminous blue circuits. The room inhaled sharply. Grant announced that this is the prototype communication module, crafted for deep space operations. After 3 years of dedicated work from our leading scientist, it has now met its demise, rendered corrupted and utterly useless. He cast a glance at Caleb and smiled broadly. "Caleb, please take care of it. You have a span of 20 minutes. If you are unable to do so, you must return to your place of origin." Joyful sounds filled the space. One of the engineers murmured, "This is harsh." Another replied, "Take it easy, it's merely a jest. The child will succumb to the cold, and it will all come to an end." Yet Caleb remained unfazed. He advanced with deliberate slowness, exuding a sense of calm, as though this encounter was familiar, as if the intricacies of the machine held no significance for him. He delved into the device toolkit, confidently choosing 3 tools, and then knelt beside the device. A handful of faces in the room lost their smiles. For a brief instant, the smile on Grant's face wavered. "Are you confident in your abilities, young one?" Caleb finally raised his gaze. His voice was gentle, yet piercing, reminiscent of ice. "Are you?" With that, he pried open the shell of the module, revealing an internal system so sophisticated that most in the room struggled to grasp the enormity of what lay before them. What remained hidden from everyone, even from Caleb himself, was that this technology originated from his father's design that had been taken and concealed, and now the sun had come back to illuminate the very design crafted in his youth. With each movement of his fingers, the lights in the room danced and flickered. A profound awakening was stirring within. The space that was once filled with joy now felt like a confined pressure cooker. Every breath now carried a weight, no longer feeling effortless. The men who had been laughing moments before now stood still, their eyes fixed on the boy whose fingers moved gracefully among the wires and microchips, as if he had composed their language himself. Caleb's gaze stayed steady, his demeanor unwavering. It was not hubris. It was not trepidation. It was something infinitely more perilous, assurance. Grant Whitaker attempted to maintain his composure, taking a sip from his stylish coffee mug, yet the slight shake in his hand revealed his inner turmoil. He cast a sidelong look at Marcus, his head of engineering, and murmured silently, his lips remaining still. "What is he up to?" Marcus leaned closer, narrowing his eyes. He simply circumvented the faulty voltage regulator and swapped out a neural loop, all without a schematic in hand. Such a thing cannot be allowed to happen. Grant's lips parted, yet silence enveloped him. The strain in his jaw was now apparent. The young lad had been engaged in the task for merely 3 minutes. A junior engineer, a woman named Harper, stepped forward instinctively, unable to restrain herself. "Who was your instructor in this matter?" Caleb kept his gaze fixed downward. "No one," she scowled. "So, how have you been?" As I observed its construction, he remarked with a sense of tranquility. Gasps echoed throughout the room. A senior developer let his pen slip from his grasp. Only those intimately engaged in its creation had ever glimpsed the inner workings of this prototype. The contents of that list were restricted. He shouldn't have been there at all, much less aware of how to connect with something that had never seen the light of day. Grant endeavored to regain authority. "Are you saying you watched a video on YouTube? This represents cutting-edge technology. It was unimaginable." Caleb adjusted one dial. A piercing beep resonated. Next, another one. The lights on the panel flickered to life. Symbols twirled gracefully across the shimmering holographic interface. He meticulously adjusted a copper relay, clicked 2 modules into their designated positions, and deftly twisted a final screw into place. The hum began softly, akin to a gentle murmur. Then it awakened, like a powerful machine coming to life after ages of stillness. A luminous ring materialized above the device, bathing Caleb's face in a gentle blue glow. "It's responding," Marcus murmured quietly. He made it available on the internet. The silence in the room was unprecedented. Grant's complexion had turned ashen, his lips parted, yet silence lingered in the air. For someone who constructed vast realms from sheer self-assurance, he appeared like a young boy wandering aimlessly through the forest. Caleb finally rose to his feet. He distanced himself from the device, surveying the room with deliberate slowness, taking in each face. Individually, "You really shouldn't have taken that," he remarked. Grant's eyes widened in surprise. "What are you referring to?" Caleb delved into his pocket and retrieved a small, crumpled photograph. He opened it gently, taking his time. A figure of a man was revealed. Lofty stature, a beard that flows, and eyes that radiate warmth. In his embrace, a much younger Caleb, perhaps 6 years old, grinning next to a workbench strewn with blueprints. Caleb introduced, "This is my father." Isaac Lennox was his name. This was his design. Grant's expression fell abruptly, plunging into a heavy stillness. "No," Grant murmured. "That cannot be done. Lennox passed away before he had the chance to secure the patent, just as he was about to reveal what your company had done to him." Caleb stepped in. His voice remained composed, yet there was a firmness underlying it now. He placed his trust in the wrong individuals. He perished in a blaze that was entirely avoidable. So, you removed his name from all records. Yet it remains etched in my memory. I reconstructed it from recollection. The light from the device throbbed rhythmically, reminiscent of a heartbeat. "And now," Caleb declared, "you will recall who truly constructed it." The stillness that ensued weighed more than any detonation. The stillness within the boardroom was so profound, it seemed as if time itself had come to a halt. Silence enveloped the scene. Silence enveloped the room, as if everyone held their breath. The once vibrant ego of Grant Whitaker now resembled a crumbling edifice, fissures appearing at its very base. His gaze was locked onto the photograph Caleb clutched, yet his thoughts were submerged in long-buried memories he had sought to forget. The name Isaac Lennox struck him like a specter, reappearing with unresolved matters. Caleb carefully set the photograph down on the table, next to the humming device he had just brought back to life. The gentle blue radiance of the module bathed the picture in a delicate light, highlighting the man's eyes within it. Gaze infused with fervor, radiance, and faith betrayed trust. Harper advanced cautiously, her voice a mere breath of sound. "The name lingers in my memory. Lennox. My father brought him up once. He claimed to be a legend, yet he disappeared." "He did not disappear," Caleb responded, maintaining his composure. "He was wiped from existence." Marcus appeared visibly unsettled. It was mentioned that he reconstructed this solely from recollection. In what way? Caleb's eyes remained fixed. He nurtured me in his workshop. While other kids were captivated by cartoons, I immersed myself in the world of circuits. While others engaged with toys, I immersed myself in components. He didn't merely create devices. He guided me in grasping their intricacies, transcending the guides, surpassing the illustrations. I committed his sketches to memory long before I could even sign my name. And when he passed away, all the memories came flooding back. The atmosphere in the room transformed. This had transcended mere curiosity. A moment of truth had arrived. Grant moved ahead, striving to regain his composure. His voice trembled. You have no idea how intricate the situation was. Your father possessed remarkable brilliance, indeed. Yet he was also quite unpredictable. He declined to enter into an agreement with us. He stood firm. Caleb interjected, with a hint of intensity. Grant's lips pressed together. He had little faith in the system. He was convinced he could master it all. The fire was indeed a tragedy, yet we bear no responsibility for it. Caleb's gaze sharpened, yet he remained silent. Instead, he made his way back to the device. The luminous circle above it now floated with unwavering grace. From the corner of the table, a nearby console started to hum, then cast a live 3D schematic into the air. The design was finalized, intricately detailed to its very encrypted essence. The engineers exchanged bewildered glances, taken aback by the unexpected turn of events. Marcus moved in closer. This information transcends mere blueprints. This represents a sophisticated approach to learning, enhanced by artificial intelligence. It has a foresight quality. It transforms with application. Harper inhaled sharply. It is light years beyond what we currently possess. Caleb inclined his head with deliberation. My father created it without the intention of making a profit. It was crafted with an eye toward what lies ahead, fostering connection and imbued with meaning. You attempted to transform it into a tool of destruction. Grant's tone became cutting once more, filled with defensiveness. Are you aware of the value of this technology? Which governments would fund it? That is precisely why you were never deserving of it, Caleb responded. It was never about wealth. It revolved around significance. In an instant, the image on the screen transformed. A warning light started to flash in crimson. Suddenly, a voice emerged, synthetic, feminine, and serene. Authentication has been identified. Greetings, Isaac Lennox Jr. All were momentarily paralyzed. The apparatus had identified him. It's more than his actions, more than his creations. It's who he truly is. The design incorporated advanced biorecognition protocols. It recognized the offspring of its maker the instant he made contact. Grant staggered back, almost toppling his chair. You hard-coded legacy access, Marcus murmured, filled with admiration. He is the sole individual capable of mastering it. Caleb surveyed the room, transformed from the once quiet kid in the hoodie. No longer the subject of laughter. He had transformed into something extraordinary, something impossible to ignore. You constructed a seat of pilfered stones, he remarked. Yet the foundation recalls its creator. The atmosphere was thick with tension, the reality weighing down more profoundly with each passing moment. The atmosphere in the boardroom crackled with intensity. The illumination from the clandestine apparatus danced across the features of those who had previously mocked. Caleb, their expressions had lost all traces of smugness or amusement. They were taken aback, filled with embarrassment, and perhaps, above all, gripped by fear. Not of the boy, but of the reality he had unearthed. Caleb had not merely brought a machine back to life. He had brought back a legacy that was never meant to resurface. Grant stepped back, clutching the table's edge, his knuckles paling with tension. It is unacceptable for you to enter this space and make such allegations against me. Are you aware of my identity and the accomplishments I have achieved? Caleb inclined his head just a bit, observing him intently. You created nothing. You have taken. You concealed your steps. You engaged individuals to alter the narrative of the past. However, there's one detail you overlooked. He advanced and gently pressed the illuminated console next to the apparatus. Machines are incapable of deception. Memories linger. Reputations remain unguarded. They safeguard information. Harper cast another look at the screen. This document is secured with encryption, profound signatures. It features timestamps from more than 10 years ago. Lennox's biometric tags are everywhere on it. This stands as undeniable evidence. Grant's voice trembled. This outcome was entirely unexpected. The information was concealed. You buried it, Caleb amended, but not quite deep enough. In an instant, the screen flickered once more. A new archive has been accessed, revealing a video log. Initially unclear, but then a vivid picture emerges. The display revealed Isaac Lennox, vibrant and thriving, comfortably positioned in his laboratory. His voice resonated throughout the space. If you are seeing this, it means I have departed. And my son has uncovered what was lost. Caleb, I created this with the aspiration that someday you would complete what I began. They may attempt to distort reality, yet this innovation was never intended for conflict. Its purpose was to bring together, to mend, to inspire intellects across the expanse of time and space. Do not allow them to taint it. The silence in the room was palpable. The soft buzz of the ceiling lights echoed like distant thunder. Caleb regarded the engineers, his tone unwavering yet intense. You all watched as they wiped my father from existence. Your success thrived on his quietude, yet I refused to remain unheard. Marcus advanced, his gaze locked onto the screen. Caleb, I was unaware. Caleb responded, you didn't ask. You noticed a disturbance and chose to look the other way. Harper gazed at Grant. This can no longer be concealed. This footage has the potential to unravel it all. Grant's expression contorted, in a mix of urgency and despair. Are you looking for some cash? Strength. Is there an opening? It's yours to take. Simply turn and leave. Let this be a distant memory. Caleb gazed at him as if he were peering through a transparent barrier. Do you believe this is driven by a desire for retribution? It isn't. This concerns renewal, about authenticity. With a decisive tap, he pressed the last key on the console. Soft chime resonated from the device. Suddenly, every projector along the wall sprang to life. All the screens throughout the building lit up with the files. Plans, correspondence, agreements, concealed programming, and surveillance recordings. Every hidden truth Grant believed was concealed now resonated like an unspoken admission. From somewhere below, the piercing sound of security alarms echoed through the air. Grant bellowed, bring it to a halt, at this moment. However, the moment had passed. Caleb had intricately integrated the broadcast into the building's emergency protocol. The engineers fixed their gaze upon him, and a subtle change occurred. They no longer perceived a child. They witnessed a powerful clarity, a tempest of righteousness contained within the form of a young person. Caleb remarked that you intended to put him to the test. You aimed to ridicule the boy who seemed to come from nowhere. Yet I was never adrift. I found myself in a state of anticipation. At this moment, the truth shall be unveiled to all. The alarms echoed throughout the structure, reminiscent of the last wail of a fading dynasty. Every display in the facility now radiated with the undeniable reality. Agreements, bearing falsified signatures, correspondence, validating illicit payments. Concealed documents revealing the removal of Isaac Lennox's name from patents, substituted with corporate pseudonyms. Security personnel burst into the boardroom, only to halt in their tracks at the sight displayed on the wall-sized monitors. Not even they could tear their gaze away. Caleb remained still. He occupied the center of the room with an air of familiarity, as if he had always been meant to be there. A tempest raged around him. Fear, incredulity, rejection, yet he stayed motionless, intent, unwavering. Marcus stepped back from the console, his voice quivering. This transcends our individual selves. If this information leaks, Grant's company will be doomed. Legal actions, investigations, into criminal activities. Futures shattered. Grant pounded his fist on the table. Please switch it off. He gestured towards the security team, commanding, shut everything down. Eliminate him at this moment. The sentinels exchanged uncertain glances. One advanced, Yet Caleb lifted his hand, not out of fear, but with a commanding presence. "You touch me, and this building loses power," Caleb said with a steady demeanor. "The files exist beyond this system alone. They reside in the cloud, set to go public in 30 seconds, unless I intervene to halt the upload." The guards halted in his path. Grant's voice faltered. "What is it that you desire?" Caleb inhaled deeply, then articulated his thoughts with perfect precision. "I desire for the world to uncover the truth. I desire my father's restoration. I desire that all patents be restored to their rightful creators. I envision this company being reconstructed, grounded, not in deception, but in honesty and integrity. Do you really believe this is the way things operate in the world?" Grant's patience frayed. This industry leaves no space for innocence. Leverage is the sole factor at play. Victory cannot be achieved through fair play. Caleb stared intently into his eyes. It's time for a shift in the narrative. The gadget next to him throbbed once more. The synthetic voice re-emerged. "Upload has been successfully completed. Access to the public has been granted." Grant staggered backward, overcome by a sense of defeat. The burden of all he had created now loomed over him like an unstoppable force. His empire, once invincible, was crumbling before his very eyes. The staff had begun to glance at their phones. News alerts started pouring in. Harper moved next to Caleb, resting a hand softly on his shoulder. "Your actions today reflect courage and fulfill an important need. The past is immutable, yet we have the power to confront it at last." Marcus gave a slow, deliberate nod. "I wish to offer my assistance. Should there be any remnants of this company, may they be founded on honesty." Caleb's gaze softened, if only for a fleeting moment. He gazed at the photograph resting on the table, illuminated by the soft blue light of the device. He held a conviction for a brighter future. "I am simply aiming to complete what he began." Outside the building, a throng of reporters had started to assemble. Helicopters hovered above, their blades slicing through the air. The tale was igniting with fervor. It's not merely the scandal itself, but rather the story of the boy who brought it to light. The young lad who ventured into the lair of the lion and came forth with the thunderous call of righteousness echoing in his wake. As Caleb strolled through the lobby, a multitude of employees observed in hushed stillness. Some lowered their heads in embarrassment, others acknowledged with a fresh sense of admiration. A handful began to clap, initially gentle, then building in intensity until the whole room resonated with applause. He continued onward. He remained facing away. He stepped out of the building, the sky above him ablaze with the golden hues of the setting sun. Throughout social media, the headlines surged dramatically. A young prodigy takes down a multi-billion-dollar scam using his father's groundbreaking invention. Sunlight brings to life the long-lost legacy of an inventor in a breathtaking discovery. A clever boy outsmarts the CEO and preserves history with a concealed device. Caleb was indifferent to the headlines. He advanced with purpose, gaze unwavering, heart resolute, focused solely on fulfilling his father's vision and the passion to bring it to life. For it is often the tiniest flicker that sets off the most resounding upheaval.